I'm Olivia and I'm 18. I'm gonna go to Michigan State next year and study genetics, hopefully. I'm a student who's really active in many different activities in the school, like band and sports and stuff. And I just really enjoy being around the school, whether it be in class or outside of class. And one thing I really like is I love to learn new information about anything. I think the biggest problem that I'm seeing in my generation, that my generation faces, is the tremendous amount of academic pressure that gets put on teens and younger kids today. There's so much pressure, external pressure from other people telling you to go to a good college and to get good grades. And I think a lot of times students will sacrifice what they want to do in order to get an A or to get a higher grade. I work really hard to be successful in my studies, and that's a personal choice, but at one time it was less of a personal choice and more of the idea of survival of the fittest. I would sacrifice sleep, or I would eat dinner while I'm doing my homework, or all my daily activities would be sacrificed in order to do homework and to do well in school. And I didn't enjoy school as much as I used to because I was so concerned with being successful that it took all the pleasure of learning away. And so I think the pressure sort of ruined the idea of learning and the fun of learning. I got into U of M and I got into Michigan State, and I think one thing that I saw from that choice was that people were telling me that I should go to U of M because it was an elite school and that it was prestigious, and that sort of relates to the pressure because the status of the school was something that was attractive to people. So there was the idea of like being pressured to go somewhere. But what I chose to do, to go to Michigan State, I sort of tried to ignore the pressure of status and of elite schools and stuff like that, and just made the choice to go to state because I love state and I know that I'm going to enjoy my time there, rather than knowing that it may not have the same academic record as U of M. But one thing that I am doing is that things like tennis and band and extracurriculars, they're the things that help keep me sane. I make time to enjoy playing music or playing tennis and being with friends, and I think having a break once in a while from the fast-paced world of school and the pressure associated with doing well in school, having a break from that has really helped me a lot. If someone looked at me as a role model, I think the most important thing would be to find that balance personally between doing well in school and doing what makes you happy. Because if you live a life where all you do is do homework, you go home after school, do homework, shower, eat, and go to bed, you may look good on a piece of paper, but you may not feel fulfilled in your life. I know that without band and without tennis, my life wouldn't be anything like it is today. I have felt the pressure sort of imposed upon me, and it's the worst feeling, and everything sort of just fell apart when that pressure was on me. So I think the most important thing is to not let it get to you by doing what you enjoy too. One other thing that I haven't really talked about is the idea of maybe doing your best versus doing the best, because I know that there have been times where I've been really hard on myself, which is probably due to the fact that I will feel the pressure of doing well in school. Sometimes I'll be disappointed if I don't do as well as I want to because it's not on a test or on a quiz, because it's not a very good grade. And it's hard sometimes for students to realize that that might be their best because they're not doing as well as other people. And I think that's something that really hurts people, is the comparison of them to other people. I think students, like we as a generation, need to keep in mind that our personal best is good. It's not a comparison to someone else. I actually laugh because I hear stories about my parents or my friends' parents, and like how when they went to school they only took one AP course, and it was like AP Calc, and that was all they took, and they applied to one college and they got in there and that was it. And I think Today it's completely different because I know that I only applied to 2 colleges, but I know people apply to 6, 7 colleges and they take a gigantic number of advanced classes. And I think parents and adults are putting this pressure on these kids, but they didn't have to go through the same thing that we're having to go through, and that's one of my biggest problems with the generation gap, is that maybe if I were to say something to the older generation is that they need to understand that things are different now and the pressure is greater, so we don't need any more pressure from them than we already have on ourselves. It's good to be aware of how you're doing in school and to work hard, but you should also make time for yourself, because at the end of the road, you're not going to remember getting an A in chemistry or biology, but you might still be friends with the people that you met in like 10th or 11th grade. So it's important to take time to meet those people.